Good afternoon. Oh, sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once more into my workshop to do some turning. I'll bring in my earworm. We've just got Mark in today at the moment. Scott said he was going to be coming in, but then there was a message earlier on saying he might be a bit busy, so I'm uncertain. But we've got Mark in.
Hello, everyone.
He'll be taking care of the chat. Put Mark back in the background, and I'll give you a look at what we're going to be doing today. So we've got this piece on the lathe. I'm a bit uncertain as to what type of wood it is. I was either given this piece by Scott or by Keith, one of the two. I can't remember. I've drilled a hole in the top to go into my chuck jaws, and it does look a little bit like ash. It looks a bit dark around this area. The side has been waxed, but once we get into it, I should be able to identify it. So we will get on and do a bit of turning. Lathe speed is starting off at around about 700. It's a wee bit unbalanced, as you can see. Yeah, I think because of this part here. There's going to be a lot of sapwood around here. Getting more, I don't think this actually came off a very big trunk. We've got a couple of branch inclusions just here with a crack running down there as well. Not overly concerned about that. That'll probably get turned out. And I'm not really concerned about the cracks anyway. What we're going to be doing with this, it'll be a fairly basic shaped bowl, like I usually do. And we're going to burn it. We're going to burn it, and we are going to be using a different type of finish on this. This is called Buffet. It's a bit like an embellishing wax, but it's thicker. And that's the colour we're going to be using.
Lovely.
A nice bright purple. So that'll go over the burn. It'll get burned. I'll hit it with a wire brush to clean all of the grain out. I might have to reburn it after that. And then we're going to be putting some sealer on, and then that wax, and then a finishing wax on the top. So let's see how this is running. See if the lathe's going to rattle all over the place. Right.
Keith's saying it's originally from him, but he can't recognise it as yet.
Right. Okay. We'll see what it is once I get into it, Keith.
I'll go through the chat for you if you like.
Yep, that's fine.
Right, we've got first in looks like Wood Wizardry by Colin. Sid's Repurposing. The Dutch Turner. Terry Bray. John S. Hodgepodge Woodworks. Robert Dolman. Jay Lenahan. Alex Lambie. Colin Izzard. Ian Leonard. Vivi Woodshed. Lewis the Plumber Craftsman. Andy Heath. Ian B. Tommy Dunn. Ben Jamin. Keith. Lovins to Turn. Dutch Turner. Shop Dog Workshop. DIY Dog Matter.
Hiya, Dark Man.
Wacky Works Workshop. Richard RJK Spinning Wood.
It could well be Elm, this.
I said that. I think that's everybody. If I missed you out, I do apologise. DIY says he's come to see the master at work. Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Doc. I've missed you being in.
He says, hi, Wayne, you sexy son of a mother. Mark Pritchard says, hi, everybody, catching up on all you two. He's been back in the hospital over the weekend. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're okay. All the best. Don't forget, everyone, if you've got a question, if you could start your comment with the word question or a couple of question marks, just so I can spot it. Adam at I Love Wood Turnings just popped in. Hello, Adam. He's asking, what's occurring?
What's occurring? Well, we've decided the piece of wood is elm. Yeah, it's elm. I'm going to take that bark bit out. Hopefully that'll turn out. It's nice open grain, so I should have some success with burning it. But we'll see.
Richard, Wayne's going to turn a bowl, simple shaped bowl. He's then going to burn it and then apply an embellishing wax, which is a new product that he hasn't. Have you used it before, Wayne?
I have, yes.
Oh, he has.
Not very often, but I have used it before, a few times.
Joe Senior's in. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hold on, just got to type a hashtag here. Shop Dog says his wife is cooking tea tonight. I'm sure she will also have success at burning today also. Shay says he's done that with a lot of bowls. He's burnt them in the fire.
Funnily enough, I do that quite a lot. I'm just going to mark in for my mortise.
Mulvalley Maker's in. Hi, Mulvalley. DIY asks, when picking out the wood you want to use, do you have a favourite wood or do you just turn what's available?
It really all depends on what I'm going to do, Doc. For colouring, I tend to use, if I can, something that's bland. The likes of sycamore, something like that. But at the moment, I don't have a hell of a big wood supply at the moment. I've got a bit of ash, which I've got to say I like colouring as well. I've got a fair bit of yew knocking about, but I never colour that. It really all depends. It does really all depend on what I'm going to do and what I have to hand, Doc.
Rich is in. Hello, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Wayne, shall I ask Rich if he'd like to earworm?
Yeah.
Rich, would you like to come an earworm? I can send you the link.
I'm just going to put the dovetail in to go.
Question from Hodgepodge.
Yeah.
What factors do you consider when choosing a mortise or a tenon for the bottom of the bowl?
I always tend to go for a tenon. Unless, well, even if it's going to be a competition piece and I've got to take the bottom off, I'll probably still go for a mortise. It's just something I prefer. I prefer using a mortise to a tenon, but that's just me. Right, how much have I got there? I'll just do one more cut to try and get it all round towards the top. A fairly thin cut.
Shop dogs like to know whatever happened to the big 3-foot bowl you were doing with Glyn?
It is still sitting in Glyn's workshop. It's been sat there since February, I think it was, we were down. February, March time. It's still sitting there. It's warped to hell. It's got a few cracks that Glyn's been filling with super glue. I think he's gone through about 3 gallons of super glue, filling cracks in, because obviously the bowl is that big. And hopefully, at some point in the new year, we will get back down there.
Glyn's in. Hello, Glyn. Paul Lockwood's in as well. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, hopefully at some point in the new year, we will get back down there and get it finished.
Rich is just about to get in a car, so we can't hear one.
All right, okay.
No worries, mate. Paul says you got sacked. That's why you haven't finished it. Yes, Joe, I'm all on my own. Oh, so lonely.
Well, I've just got a little ridge just here, which I'll get rid of.
Glyn says he bloody hopes so. He's sick of tripping over it.
How the hell can you trip over it? It's bigger than you.
Yeah, but to be fair, everything's bigger than Glyn.
This is still quite unbalanced, as you can see. This is the sapwood here, and this is more of the heartwood down here.
Is that where those branch inclusions are?
The branch include, that's them there.
Yes, that's the heavy bit, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the heavy bit. I'm not going to bother filling them in or anything. I'm not going to sand it excessively.
Stand by your bets, everyone. This could be the moment everybody's here for.
Yeah, Drilly's here.
Take my headphones off.
Might help if it was plugged in, mind. I found that does help a hell of a lot with power tools.
What, actually having power?
Yeah, actually plugging them in. Yeah.
Glenn says he's not letting Wayne anywhere near his drills.
Because Glyn killed his drill, a brand new DeWalt cordless drill. He actually killed it. I said, have you not got a proper drill? He said, this is a proper drill. And then he killed it. And what we were doing when he killed it, we were actually drilling a hole through a 12. This was the big bull blank. It was 3 foot. We trimmed it down with the chainsaw, but it was 12 inches diameter. And we'd actually left a piece, if you like, sitting out like this. And we were drilling a hole through it so it would actually fit a strop through, so we could lift the piece of ash up with the engine hoist, because that's the only way we were going to get it on the lathe. So we were drilling the hole through, and he killed it. He killed his drill, drilling a hole through the ball blank. I didn't kill it. He killed it.
Before you start drilling.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a question from DIY. When you first started turning, what kind of lathe did you start with?
Oh, right. What kind of lathe did I start when I first started turning? I first started turning around about October of 1986. I was in the process of leaving the army. I was doing a pre-release course at Catterick, and the course was an introduction to the building trades, because we'd just bought this cottage and needed some work doing. So we had a chance to be in the joiner's shop. They had a union graduate lathe in there, brilliant lathe there. If anybody's in the southwest of England, somebody in Cornwall is selling one at the moment for about 650 quid. Bargain.
I know.
So I had to go on that. I actually made a handle for a plasterer's hawk. That's what I made. Came home and said to Jane, I've just had to go on a lathe and I want one. And while I was home, somebody was selling one at a small town about 40 miles away from no, not 40 miles, about 40 minutes away from me. And it was an Arundel J14. That was the type of lathe I had. Very small lathe, bench mounted. Everything, didn't have any chuck or anything like that. And that's where I started with.
Cool. Mike, Midnight Joker's just come in.
Hiya, Mike. This is actually looking more and more like ash. I'm still pretty certain it's elm.
Barry's in from Real Simple Things. He says,
Hi.
Good afternoon, Drilly, and his handler.
That's it. I'm just going for 120.
Glenn says,
Yeah.
wait for it, just to clear things up, Wayne was drilling when the magic smoke came out the back.
Right, there'll be a bit of noise. I'm just putting the vacuum on. I don't want any dust or anything and shavings about while I'm burning this.
I love the way Wayne warns us about the Hoover, but he don't warn us about drilling. Malcolm Douglas has joined. Hello, Malcolm.
Hey, Malcolm.
Adam at I Love Wood Turning's got a question.
Yeah.
Right, it's a bit of a long one, so bear with me. What are the main differences between old and new lathes? I have a vintage Hegner, 20 years old. No way
Yeah.
I could afford the same capabilities in a new lathe, but I'm tempted to upgrade to a Union Grad.
Right, the Hegner. Is that the Hegner with the variable speed? That's my first answer. First question.
That's the one Emma uses, isn't it? The tiny
Yeah,
turner?
it's the one that Emma uses, and it's the one that, oh God, I forget his name, Darren. Another professional turner, does a lot of sculpture work. Forgetting his name now. Anyway, very good lathes. Emma loves hers. I would say if you're happy with it, stick with it. If you can afford a graduate, I would say go for it. Depending on how tall you are, you may have to get some riser blocks if you get a graduate. Because it does tend to be a little on the low side. Glyn's just put in, if you keep your eyes open for a Viceroy. I'm sure there was a Viceroy on eBay not so long back.
Adam says he's 6'2".
6'2". If you're getting a graduate, you would definitely need to have riser blocks.
Greg Alexander's just joined. Hello, Greg.
Hey, Greg.
Welcome along.
I am going to be using Drilly again to clean out the soft grain. You can just do it with a handheld brush, but it really all depends on how deep into the grain you want to get.
Could you use one of those wire brush attachments on a drill?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to use.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, obviously, because of the heat, I'm getting a lot of surface cracks in this. Again, not overly concerned. It's a demo piece. It's probably not going to go for sale.
Dennis Beamish has just joined. He says, morning, gents. Just joined. We'll get the start on the video.
And like I say, you can use a
Dodge says, lol. Mark, I think there's no point in offering tips to Wayne. No, it wasn't. I wasn't offering a tip. I was just asking if you could use one.
You can just use a brass brush. That will actually clean out the grain quite nicely, but it's quicker and you can get it deeper. And when you're doing it using the brush and the drill, try it keeping going in the direction of the grain.
Got 55 in, what, Wayne?
Okay.
DIY says, man, that grain looks great. Gonna be very purdy.
Yeah, it is standing out quite nicely, isn't it? Now, what you can do, right, I have seen people before when they've been doing this, they've used the burning technique, and what that does is actually soften up the soft grain anyway. When you burn it, so it actually cleans out and gives it a bit of a better texture if you burn it, rather than just using the wire brush without burning it. But then what you can do is stick on, that's just about empty.
Doug Miller's just joined. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Doug. Stick on some sanding sealer. And if you want, you can actually go over this with ebonizing lacquer, which will just really blacken everything up even more. Just wipe off the excess on this. I'll not need much.
Midnight Joker's commented, Drilly, Drilly, I'm your fan. You sand bowls like no one can. Go, Drilly. You guys make it so hard for my breathing to do this.
I've produced a monster. Right, now I have got my P45 on. Because if I did Yorkshire Grit on this, about the only thing it would do, all of the open grain here and everything, it would just fill everything in there and it would start ripping up all of the tissue paper and everything. So we're going to go straight in with the embellishing wax. Now, if anybody does go to use this, what we're wanting to do, we're wanting it to fill the grain. And then what I'll do, I'll go over the top to get rid of the excess using some flow medium, some Joe Sonia's flow medium, and hopefully that'll take off any excess from the hard grain.
If anybody else was wanting to do this, Wayne, and they didn't have the flow medium, is there anything else they could use to achieve the same result?
Right, seeing as how, well, I'll tell you the truth, I'm not actually certain. Using flow medium, because you can actually thin this stuff down using flow medium, and thinning it down using flow medium thins it down, but it doesn't take away the intensity of the colour.
Glyn's saying lemon oil works really well.
With the Buffett Glyn,
Andy Heath's asking, would cellulose thinner might do it?
no.
And Glyn says yes.
All right, lemon oil with the Buffett, grand. I would think Glyn got that tip from David.
Circular Wood by Keith is saying a wax polish will take off any excess. Glyn saying that David Lowe taught him that.
Yeah, I thought it might have been.
That's a fantastic colour. It's my favourite colour, purple, just saying. Leroy 500's just joined, says sorry he's late.
Hey, Leroy.
Malcolm Douglas is asking, what's the buffing wax, the embellishing wax you're using, please?
It's called Buffett. If you're in the UK, you can buy it from Sneinton Wood Supplies. I don't know if there's any other outlets. This is something that David Lowe actually found, and because David Lowe's workshop is actually based at Sneinton, about 9 miles outside Scarborough, and now Sneinton actually stock it.
Hodgepodge has asked, will you be leaving the inside of the bowl natural?
I will.
Barry's asking what was that noise, but I didn't hear anything.
I don't know, Barry.
Oh, that noise. Sorry, that was me vaping. I didn't mute.
Right. It's bright, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that. It almost looks metallic on the picture.
Hang on, just do a wee practice piece with lemon oil.
DIY says he's not a big fan of colouring wood, but that purple looks great. Sorry, Baz. Dutch Turner's asked, why burn it and then colour it?
Because the whole plan on this, Dutch, is to actually take the colour off on the hardwood, because the bits that have been textured that have gone in, that's all the soft growth. So hopefully, if I can take the colour off on the hard growth, you're going to get the contrast between the burnt wood and the purple. What's in there? It's going to take a little bit of time to get this done, but bear with me. We will get there.
Shay Lenahan says Wayne was a big Prince fan. Purple Rain, Purple Rain. Glenn says David cleans a bit of Lave stationery.
Yeah, I was just giving it a go there, Glenn, and found it didn't work. Seeing as how the lathe is stationary, tell you what I'll try. I'll try using. It's not coming off as easy as I thought it was going to. Even using a Scotch-Brite pad.
Midnight Joker says the set of turning chisels he picked up yesterday are so badly sharpened. The guy had been using a spindle roughing gouge as a bolt gouge. He's managed to make some nice things though. Doc Miller's asking if you got some water handy.
Yeah. But the flow medium, like I say, actually takes this away, but it doesn't take away the intensity of the colour. Oh, that's better. We're getting there now.
Shop Dog's having to leave. See you later, Shop Dog.
See you, Mark.
Mark Pritchard's having to go as well. See you later, Mark. Andy says he can't find Buffett on Snapeton's website. Has he got the
No.
name wrong?
No, that's what it's called. It
You
is
spell
called,
it.
yeah, BUFF-IT.
He's spelled it BFFETT. So it's BUFF-IT. Buff.
Yeah.
Buff hit. That's looking awesome. 57 in, Wayne. 42
Right.
minutes.
Right, I'll give that a dry off. I think that's as far as I'm going to go with that. So I'll just give it a dry off, and then we'll stick some finish on there.
I did ask Wayne before we started. That's the link for my live tomorrow at lunchtime, if anyone's interested.
I'm not.
Wayne won't be there. He's off getting his flu jag.
Because I'm old.
Dutch is having to go back to work. See you later, Dutch.
Work? I'm using Chestnut Products microcrystalline wax as a finish.
Mike's got a question.
Yeah.
What is the use of a diamond point scraper?
Right, it's called a detailing scraper. You can use it for various embellishments. You can use it for putting dovetails into mortises.
Setting burn lines.
Now, usually,
Oh, he's found the Buffett on the website.
grand. Usually, what I do is leave the microcrystalline wax for around about 10 minutes for any solvents to evaporate out of there, and then buff it. But just to give you an idea. And there we go.
Could you go over that now with, say, Hampshire Sheen High Gloss or
Well, it's already had microcrystalline wax on. That was what
Right.
I just put on as a finish, the microcrystalline wax.
Okay.
There you go. That's the bottom done. Got some nice contrast in there. And you see, rather than burn it, you don't have to burn it. I could have used ebonizing lacquer. And using ebonizing lacquer, to tell you the truth, if I'd used ebonizing lacquer, the excess buffet that I was trying to get rid of would probably have come off a hell of a lot easier. So, we'll just get it cleaned out now.
Lindsay Gardner and Colin Chalmers have just joined.
Hey, Lindsay, Colin, who was asking about the diamond profile scraper?
Mike, Midnight Joker.
Mike, Midnight Joker. Let's see if I've got this. That there is a branch inclusion. That's what that is. Right, Mike. Diamond profile scraper. You can just use it for doing embellishing. Like that, rather than just having a plain rim.
David Miller's just joined. It's his first time here. Welcome along.
Who was that?
David Miller.
Oh, hi, David. Welcome in.
Sarah the Titchy Turner's here. Hello, Sarah.
Hiya, Sarah. Long time no see.
Lewis has just said, not many of us wee push-cut guys around these days.
There's no other way to clean the inside of a bowl other than using a push cut if you're using a bowl gouge. Because the last thing you want to do is start going in from the centre and coming back out this way. Because if you get a catch at the centre of the bowl, it's not a very high speed, it's a very, very low speed. But as you're getting out towards the edge of the bowl, the speed gets faster. And if you're coming out this way and you happen to get a catch, what's going to happen is that the bowl through the catch is going to fling the gouge back at you this way. And you're actually standing in the way of the gouge.
Good point. I'll try and remember that for tomorrow.
Plus, right, the grain on this is running across that way, okay? So you've got end grain here, you've got end grain here. If you're coming back out this way, you're actually pushing into the end grain, causing tear out, okay? Whereas if you're going in this way, the fibers that are left behind the bevel are being pressed down. So you actually get a cleaner cut going in from the outside towards the center when you're cleaning out the inside of a bowl. You do it the opposite way when you're doing the outside of the bowl. You go from the center towards the outside when you're doing the outside of the bowl. Right, let's clarify that. There is nothing stopping you going from the outside of the bowl towards the center on the outside when you're doing the outside of a bowl. The only thing is when you do a finishing cut, you're always as well going from the center to the outside on the outside of a bowl, because again, you're pushing the fibers down. Just want to move my tool rest in.
Hodgepodge just says, transformer just blew up near his house and now he's got no power.
Oh, wonderful.
Shay's asking what bevel what bevel angle you got on that gouge, mate?
I use 45-45. That's what I use. Now this has got the top of the bowl comes back in slightly, so I'm going to put a very slight undercut.
Tim Halcombe just joined. He says, hello from East Central Indiana.
Good afternoon, Tim, or good morning.
And Lewis says, he cuts his bowls the same way you do, Wayne. Just noticing lately that there are a lot of people using an Irish grind and doing pull cuts from inside to outside.
Yeah, I'm not keen on doing that. You can do that if you're using the gouge as a shear scraper. There's not a problem with doing it that way if you're using the gouge as a shear scraper.
Chappie's in. Hello, Chappie.
Hi, Johnny.
Dark Matter says he likes to use a round carbide for shear scraping on the inside of a bowl or a block. Whatever works for you, whatever's you're happy with.
A lot of people use carbides and use them actually very, very well.
Chris Cox has joined. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Barry's got to go back to work. See you later, Baz.
See you, Barry. Just a couple more cuts, I think.
Chris Cox is asking if he's missed much.
Sorry?
No, Chris Cox is asking if he's missed much. I was going to say no, not much. Fire, embellishing, polishing. Dennis Beamish has a question.
Yeah.
It may just be the camera angle, but it looks like you turn at faster speeds on the inside of the bowl than on the outside.
No,
Do you work with different speeds?
I do work with different speeds. This is the same speed. I haven't changed the speed at all. Yeah, we've got equal wall thickness all the way through there. It's around about an inch. Yeah, it is spot on. An inch wall thickness all the way through. So I'm happy with that. Quick sand. I'll sand this down to 240. So that was 80, I'm now on 120. And 240.
Martin at Woody's Creation says, hello everyone, just popped in for lunch.
Hey, Martin. Right, so that's just acrylic sanding sealer I'm using here. Spray on from Chestnut. You can basically use whatever sanding sealer you want.
Chappie says he turned a piece of mulberry yesterday, and today his son is turning a wet piece of avocado wood.
Oh, very nice. Right, I will be using Yorkshire grit on the inside.
Glenn says, you're such a sellout, Wayne.
Oh. Right, speed down to around about 250. And you start rubbing it in with the same piece of paper that you applied it with. And keep on working it in so the abrasive within the paste does its work. Spend a couple of minutes on doing this particular part. You'll be able to feel the abrasive doing its job, and you'll actually be able to see, as I can, you can still see slurry in there. So that shows that there's still abrasive paste there. On the rim. Probably going to pick up some tissue paper on the rim where that branch inclusion is. I'll get that sorted in a minute. Then clean piece of paper, start picking the speed up. Carry on rubbing it in.
Adam at I Love Wood Turning asks, where does the abrasive go, into the cloth or the wood?
The abrasive breaks down. It gets finer and finer and finer until it basically disappears. You only need to sand to 240 when using this product, because at the end of the time that you use the product, it's gone to an equivalent grit of around about 1,000, because the abrasive just breaks down, and breaks down. Now, what you should always remember to do, like I think I did, is put sand and sealer on the wood first. If you don't put sand and sealer on the wood, what tends to happen is that the oils and wax within the Yorkshire grit actually just soak into the wood. It's not a huge thing to be concerned about. It just means that you've probably got to put another coat of grit on after the first coat to make sure that it works properly.
Wayne, with reference to Glyn's comment, sorry, I didn't mention the 3 laughing faces afterwards.
Is it any good as a beard conditioner? No, Dark, it's not.
Yeah, whatever you do, if you ever do a live on YouTube and Wayne is your earworm, don't, for the love of God, forget to put sanding sealer on your piece.
Wait, to tell you the truth, and Glyn will back me up on this, when I first started using Yorkshire grit, I always forgot the sand and sealer. And I went down to Glyn and I first met. I think it was a Harrogate show a few years ago. And then I went down because David Lowe had won one of my bowls in an auction. So I went and delivered to him. I thought it'd be a good chance to go down and see him and see Glyn. And the pair of them said, "Why is it in your videos you never use bloody sand and sealer?" I was, "Oh shit, I've just been told off." So ever since then, I always try and remember. I should really be like Mike Walt and yourself, Mark, and have it written on the tin.
Yeah, that's what I do now. Question from Chappie. Does it matter what sanding sealer you use?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter in the least what sand and sealer you use. Just
he's meaning cellulose or...
No, it doesn't matter.
Acrylic.
No, just whatever sand and sealer you tend to go with, your favourite sand and sealer, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you use sand and sealer.
So Adam at I Love Woodturning just wants to clear something up.
Yeah.
He's saying, contrary to other discussion, I could sand to 240, colour the bowl, then seal it, then use YG.
No.
No, other way around.
Right. Okay. Colouring. If you're going to colour something, now I'll try and explain this process. I'll just take the bowl off, and I'll come back onto the main camera. So 1, you can see the bowl, and 2, we can talk about colouring. Right. There's the bowl.
Lovely.
I think I prefer that side. Yeah, I prefer that side of it. That side. That's it.
That's gorgeous.
Right. Colouring. If you are going to colour something, if you're using wood stain, whether it's a spirit stain or a water-based stain, that goes straight onto the wood. The likes of chestnut spirit stains, Martin's intrinsic colours, water-based stains, that goes straight onto the wood. Then you seal after you've put the colour on. If you're using paints, you can put paint straight on the wood, but what I tend to do is I tend to use a sand and sealer before I use paint. And the reason I use a sand and sealer before I use paint is because I think it acts like a bit of a primer. So, carrying on with the colouring. You can just wax any colour. So you've put your stain on, you put your sand and sealer on, knock the sand and sealer back and use a wax. Or if you are going to be using Yorkshire grit, because when you, that's right, I should have said right at the start, when you're colouring, you should always sand up to at least 400. People think that wood turners use colour to mask their mistakes. Using colour actually highlights mistakes. So you need the sand to at least 400 before you put colour on, whether it be a stain or whether it be paint. It's got to be sanded up to at least 400. If you're going to use a lacquer finish over your colouring, put 2 or 3 coats on within the time recommended on the can. Leave it for at least 24 hours. Knock it back with very, very fine sandpaper, 600, 800, something like that. Put another 2 or 3 coats on, as recommended how it's on the tin, until you build up around about 10 coats. Then once that's fully cured, you can actually use Yorkshire Grit Microfine to knock it back, and then use a high gloss wax to put a finish on that will give a hell of a lot of depth. If you try and use Yorkshire Grit directly over the top of colour, as in it's abrasive, it's just going to take it off.
Yep, makes sense.
Did that answer your question?
Very succinctly. Jappy's asking, do you knock it back dry or wet sandpaper?
I just use it dry. You can use it wet. You can use the small pads or a piece of wet and dry that that's used in the car industry. But you're going to knock it back and then you're going to dry it off before you put your lacquer on. But either will do. Just make sure before you start knocking any sort of lacquer back, make sure it is fully cured before you do that. Paul, I'm not particularly bothered on this, on whether the colour actually enhances the piece or not. All this is a demo just to show another different technique. That's what I use these lives for, just as demos to show different techniques so people can either use that technique or not, as the case may be. But you're right, the grain is very, very nice.
Dark Matter's asking, what's the point of thinning sanding sealer? Does it not make sense the thicker it is, the better it works?
No, Dark, and I'll show you why.
Because you want the sanding sealer to absorb into the fibres of the wood, so it's better off being thinner, isn't it?
It's better off. Right, this is chestnut sand. Oh, that's unopened. Good point. Well, I've got one here that's opened. Yeah, I have. I'll be opening the tin now. Bear with me. Right, I'm not going to bother opening the tin. I'll try and explain. The cellulose sanding sealer that we get, certainly from chestnut products, tends to be quite thick. And rather, if I wasn't using the spray-on sanding sealer, if I was just brushing on the cellulose sanding sealer, it tends to be thick. It can leave a lot of lines, which can be quite difficult to get out. So what I tend to do, I thin mine down 70-30. So 70% sanding sealer, 30% cellulose thinners. With the brush on acrylic sanding sealer, that's exactly the same. So I tend to water that down about the same. 70% acrylic sanding sealer, 30% water.
Question from RJK Spinning Wood. If you want to oil the wood, could you oil, then seal, then Yorkshire Grit, then wax?
Depends on the oil. If you're using the likes of Danish oil has got drying agents in there. So they are dry within about 24 hours. One of my favorites is chestnut lemon oil. That sort of dries within 24 hours. But really, if you are going to use an oil finish, what is the point in putting wax over the top of it?
Sorry, I did miss a question from Jappy. Could you explain burnishing compound's purpose?
Burnishing compound. I don't know what that is.
Does he mean like friction polish, burnishing polish?
I'm not sure. It's something I've never used. Can't answer that one. Sorry. Any more for any more?
Burnishing cream. He's just put burnishing cream.
Burnishing again. It's something that I haven't actually used, Adam.
I think Chestnut make it, don't they? They make a burnishing cream.
It's not a product I've used, so
I think burnishing cream is like it's like a friction polish, I think. Oh, Keith's saying it's like much the same as Yorkshire Grit Ultra Fine.
All right. Like I say, I've never used it.
No, neither have I.
Any more for any more, or shall we wrap that up? My God, that's nearly an hour and 20 minutes. That's not like me. Right, guys. One final look, just to let you see. Jane will probably have this one because purple is her favourite colour as well. Right. Thanks very much for coming in, guys. How many did we have, Mark? If you can remember.
57 at one point.
Grand. Okay. Thanks very much for coming along, guys. It's much appreciated. I do enjoy you seeing you in here, or in the chat anyway. I will be back on Wednesday evening. Mark's on tomorrow lunchtime. Dale will be doing some scroll sewing tomorrow evening. I don't think there's anybody on this evening unless you're in Wood Turning 360. I think we've got a demo on tonight. Wednesday lunchtime will be Nick the Flamin' Turner and then me on Wednesday evening. Thursday lunchtime I'm not sure about.
Steve, I think, from SK.
Steve coming in on Thursday. Thursday evening. So. Thursday evening will be Scott. Friday is back to me at lunchtime. There'll be a couple of premieres on. Ruben will have a premiere at about 7. I think Nick will have a premiere about 7:30. And Stace Makes will be on at 8.
Possibility Steve from SK is doing Friday evening again as well.
Oh, right. Okay. Right then. I will shoot off. I'm going to press the bloody button. And I'll see you the next time. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.